Today on the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement.
We are going to discuss the importance of embracing change in order for you to be successful.
And on our Coaches Corner, we're going to discuss the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act, also known as the Secure Act, and what it means to you and your retirement.
And on our Chalk Talk segment today, we're going to go over some questions that you need answers to when it comes to the new Secure Act changes and your retirement.
So sit back, relax, and learn. The Chad Slagle Show starts now.
I'm Chad Slagle. I believe financial planning is about educating people and empowering them to make better decisions with their hard-earned dollars. Coaching gives me satisfaction from watching a player succeed and get better. You need an experienced team around you. The best coaches have great assistant coaches. I have brought a lot of the techniques and structure I learned from playing and coaching football and applied them to the world of investing. My goal now is to coach as many individuals and families as I can on how to get successfully to and through retirement.
Welcome in, everyone, to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. I'm Wendy Erickson, here with the coach, Chad Slagle. And today on the Clipboard segment, we're going to discuss the importance of embracing change in order for you to be successful.
That's right, Wendy. We often do not like change because it is uncomfortable or inconvenient. But sometimes you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to get to a better place. And as many people now know, retirement today is much more difficult than it was 20 or even 30 years ago. Why? Because 20 to 30 years ago, 80% of American workers had a pension. So all you really had to do when you retired was adjust your lifestyle to the pension and Social Security that you had coming in each and every month. However, today, less than 20% of American workers have a pension. So retirement is a lot more difficult for those of you that are getting ready to retire. And some changes have to be made. And our government is finally starting to realize that as well, which is why some changes have been made to improve certain aspects of the U.S. retirement system. And this is known as the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act, or what we call the Secure Act. And it will impact many pre-retirees and retirees moving forward, which took effect January 1st of 2020. And some of these changes will be beneficial, which we will get into a little bit later, but some may not be as beneficial. So the key to take away from today is that change can be good. And you need to embrace that change to get to a better place. So today, we want to talk about embracing those changes and what some of those changes are going to be, or what they are now going forward.
You know, I've heard a little bit about this, the Secure Act, and the long name, that's quite the mouthful.
It is.
And it sounds great. I don't know if it affects me. I was talking to some friends. We don't know if it will be in time for our retirement. We hope so. We hope good things are ahead. So I'm excited to break it down today a little bit.
You know, we could spend a whole another show on exactly everything that it does cover. What we're going to talk about today, though, because it does affect some younger people before you get to retirement, as far as what you can put in and different things. But what we're going to talk about now today is really focus on those of you that are retired and how it affects you, or those of you that want to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. And we're going to talk about in the Coach's Corner what those changes are, but also we're going to talk a little bit later in the Chalk Talk segment about some questions you really need to be asking yourself and how you can and cannot use this Secure Act to your benefit.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of retirees out there watching that want to know, what does this mean for me? Every year there's some changes to the tax laws, and this is something that I think we all need to be aware of. So.
And these are the biggest changes that we've had in the past 13 years.
Wow, okay.
Unfortunately, there's probably a lot of people watching this show right now, Wendy, that really don't know what the Secure Act, their advisor hasn't sat down and talked with them, which is a huge disservice to them. So hopefully we can give you some information to educate you and get you further down the road, and hopefully find some gray area to help you.
All right, you'll want to stay tuned. When we return on the Coach's Corner, we are going to discuss the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act, also known as the Secure Act, and what it means for you and your retirement. We'll be right back.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our Financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri and in Illinois. So call now to get set up on that right path on your journey through retirement.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We are back with the coach, Chad Slagle, and his colleague, Chad Tobin. And today on the Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act, also known as the Secure Act, and what it means for you and your retirement. It's rolling off my tongue.
It is. It's getting better. That's right, Wendy. This is the biggest legislative change to America's retirement system in over 13 years, and one that should not be overlooked. The Secure Act, also known as the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act, was recently signed by Donald Trump, and it ultimately focuses on retirement planning in three key areas that we're going to talk about today. Number one, modifying the required minimum distribution, those RMD rules for retirement plans. Number two, expanding retirement plan access. And number three, increasing lifetime income options in retirement plans. And the most immediate impact of this bill will be felt by those of you nearing retirement or already in retirement. And if you're an investor in your 50s and 60 years of age, the Secure Act may have an impact on you as well. So today we want to go over some of the important changes that are occurring so that you are prepared.
Well, and you know, there's a lot of little changes that are in this act as well, but hopefully our goal is to kind of maybe focus on the ones that are important to you out there today.
Well, we've got to get started, I guess. Just jump right in. As I said, I don't know if they're going to impact my retirement, but let's get down to some of the important stuff off the bat.
So one of the biggest ones is limiting stretching IRAs out, or what we call that multi-generational IRA. So a stretch IRA, also known as a multi-generational IRA, is one of the biggest changes with the new Secure Act. Now, instead of withdrawals from an inherited non-spousal IRA being stretched over the lifetime of the beneficiary, which was huge, many will be required now to take withdrawals within 10 years after the original account owner has passed. A move expected to generate over $15.7 billion in tax revenue over the next 10 years. So this is one of the huge ones.
Yeah, and I think, you know, surviving spouses, we've got children that are minors, and also spouses that are more than 10 years younger are going to be exempt from this, however. So, you know, they won't have to stick to this 10-year distribution rule. And those are a few exemptions that we're talking about here today.
Just a few. So the majority of us, yeah,
Right.
it's a huge deal.
That is a big deal and could impact a lot of people. What is the next point?
Number two, RMDs. So RMDs, a required minimum distribution, has been set at the age of 70 and a half since 1986. So 35 years later, and they finally changed that now to age 72. So account holders who have not reached the age of 75 by the end of 2019, you now can wait until age 72 to start taking that money out.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this may sound good to a lot of people because we have a lot of clients, you know, they don't need to take these required minimum distributions and they're forced to. And so now, you know, it sounds great, but you know, on the other side of the coin, it also gives the account a little bit more time to grow, but also the distribution at 72 versus 70 and a half is a little bit bigger as well. So, you know, you have to take a little bit more out, and, you know, your account, it does give it some time to grow a little bit
So
more.
the account's going to grow, you have to take more out, and if you take more out, what happens? You pay more taxes.
The circle of life. What about point number three?
Point number three, which is another big one, is annuities and 401ks. The Secure Act will also encourage employers with retirement savings plans, such as 401ks and other retirement accounts, to let employees convert their savings into a guaranteed lifetime income stream through annuities. And we've all heard the good, the bad, and the ugly about annuities, and we have no idea, though, what kind of annuities are going to be inside of these retirement accounts. Are they going to be fixed annuities? Are they going to be variable annuities? Are there going to be some kind of restrictions on these annuities? So it's really, we don't know exactly yet what's going to happen, but this is what's in the paperwork right now and what's in the legislation.
Well, and I think at this point, you know, a lot of people, as you guys were just talking about earlier, I mean, 80% of retirees today are retiring without a pension. So this is a positive step to have some kind of tool inside that 401k to provide them a pension-like income. But you have to be able to sit down with a retirement specialist, with an advisor that can share the pros and cons of what types of annuities that are going to be presented here.
All right, and what about your last point about changes?
The last point, which again, as we mentioned earlier, with 80% of American workers, you know, 20 years ago they had a pension, less than 20%, and that number is going down all the time. So a lot of people, if you're 5-10 years away from retiring, you're not sure when you're going to retire and if that money's going to last throughout the rest of your life. So another big change that they made is annual disclosure of lifetime income from defined contribution plans. So this requirement will show plan participants how much income could be generated from their current lump sum balance. The problem is this number is a projected, it's a guessing number, it's not exact, and too many people will get fixated on this number and base their retirement on this, and the problem is we know the market goes up and the market goes down. So you don't want to base your number on this and all of a sudden the market drops and you're planning on a retirement of this much income coming in, all of a sudden you have to change that plan or what that looks like for retirement, which is a pretty scary thing.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's important. It's nice to have something like this so people can look and say, you know, my 401k can provide me this kind of monthly income. However, as Chad just mentioned, you know, if we don't invest that money properly when you do retire, and maybe the market drops and you lose 20-30%, that has a big impact on that monthly income number. So, you know, don't just follow that number. You have to do some proper planning.
Do some homework, yep.
All right, well, that's a great start to explain the Secure Act. We've got more to come. First of all, we want to let you know to download our free white paper today about the changing story of retirement. Visit slagelfinancial.com/empoweryou. And coming up on Chalk Talk, we are going to help you identify which questions you should be asking when it comes to the new Secure Act changes and your retirement.
Let's go.
He's such an involved dad. He's always telling the kids stories. I remember when so-and-so said I couldn't do this or I didn't make this team. That's what drives him. In our family, we always tell our kids to stick up for each other, stand behind one another. He feels it's his role to provide, keep us safe, and to make sure that the kids are taken care of. A lot of Chad's clients have the same traditional values, and he bonds with them. Each family has a different set of circumstances, and each family is unique and different. The common thread between all of Chad's clients is that they want the best for their family, just as he would our own family.
Welcome back once again to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. So we just discussed some of the Secure Act changes. Now we're going to help you identify which questions you should be asking when it comes to those new changes in the Secure Act and your retirement.
Planning for retirement, Wendy, is a process that takes your whole career to achieve. In order to be successful at retirement planning, it is important to know about all of the tools at your disposal and what you can and cannot use and the best way to use them in order to save as much as you can for your golden years for retirement. And the lawmakers in Washington play a critical role in providing you with some of these essential tools that play an impact on putting together your financial plan for retirement. However, they can also throw monkey wrenches into the existing legal system, opening up new opportunities for investors, that gray area, if you will. But it also sometimes creates pitfalls for many of you. And we just talked about some of the changes and the potential problems or pitfalls they may have. So now what we want to go over are some questions that you need to have the answers to when it comes to the Secure Act, and to better inform yourself, but also to take advantage of that gray area if it's what's best for you, your spouse, and your family. And that's really, Chad, as we talked about earlier, it's all about doing your homework and being educated and know what questions to ask, but also what are those answers that you're wanting to get from those questions and how that may or may not benefit you.
Yeah, and hopefully some of these questions we put together can just really help you kind of maybe go into that meeting, or you're asking those questions so you can get the answers that are really going to impact you the most.
Yes, you like to talk about planning and being educated, so that is what we are doing right now. What is the first question you should ask?
So number one is, how will the RMD and stretch IRAs change affect your taxes in retirement? So with the RMD changes, moving from 70.5 to 72, the more you wait, as Chad mentioned earlier, the more you risk. Why? It means more income and taxes may be higher. And in 2026, taxes will be going back up to what they were in 2017 before we had the reduction in 2018, unless something changed. In other words, this is already, Chad, baked into the legislation and the rules that are out there right now.
Yeah, and if you think about it, prior to this Secure Act going into play, somebody at 70.5 had to take a distribution from their IRA. If something were to happen to them, a non-spouse, a child, would have been able to stretch that distribution out over their life expectancy. Now, if I'm 40 years of age and something happens and I inherit money in 10 years, at 50, my life expectancy is probably another 30 plus years. So now I've got to take all that money out. It could be $1 million over a 10-year period. That's $100,000 a year added to income that you're going to probably bump you up into a higher tax bracket and pay more taxes.
Which is huge. So you could have taken that money and stretched it over a 30 or 40 year period. Now you have to draw it out over a minimum of 10 years, or in the 10th year draw it all out, but it has to be out, which is a huge tax burden for your beneficiaries if something were to happen to you.
And it's a good thing to know going in, for sure. What's the second question that would be a good one to ask?
So now that brings us to, well, how can I protect this money? How can I pass it on to my beneficiaries in the most tax efficient manner? So number two, should I consider doing a Roth conversion? Because RMDs won't start until age 72. The new law will give you an additional 2 years to do what are known as Roth IRA conversions without having to worry about the impact of required distributions. And a Roth conversion is moving assets from a tax-deductible IRA to a non-deductible Roth IRA, and participants in Roth IRAs don't pay income tax on the growth of those accounts when they withdraw those funds in retirement, because money deposited into a Roth, you've already paid tax on that money up front.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, even though, and I think this is a great strategy, especially over the next 5 to 6 years, when we're looking at tax rates being lower than what is already baked into change in 2026. So understanding that there's a couple ways to do that conversion. You can do a mid-air conversion, or you can be with a conversion-friendly custodian that allows you to do more of an internal conversion. But understand you're going to pay the taxes now on any of the money converted each and every year.
All right, and the final question has to do with annuity.
Yeah, so the thing is, should I choose the annuity option? So those of you that are still working to have 401ks and retirement plans, and they give you that annuity option when it becomes available, should you take advantage of that? And it depends on a lot of factors. There's no right or wrong answer. So you have to think about, what type of annuity is it? Is it a variable annuity, a fixed annuity, or maybe even an immediate annuity? What kind of income will it produce? Number three, which insurance company is the annuity through? And number four, what kind of benefits and flexibility will you have inside of that annuity? Because you may need to get some of that money before you retire. So this is something, again, you need to educate yourself, you need to do the homework on, you need to find out what are the right or wrong answers that you want to hear, that you need to have to be successful and to make sure that you can retire on time and have that income stream coming in that's going to last throughout the rest of your life, no matter how long you live and no matter how long your spouse lives. And God forbid if something happens, Chad, to make sure it's passed on to your beneficiaries in the most tax efficient manner.
Well, and hopefully we will know a little bit more as some of these annuities are introduced inside these plans, and we'll have a better idea of the types of annuities and being able to answer some of these questions that Chad just mentioned. But there's really no easy answer here. It's simply for a good reason. If you don't have a pension and that 401k plan has that option inside there, it's definitely worth educating yourself and looking into.
And as I mentioned earlier, Chad and Wendy, if you have an advisor that's not discussing the Secure Act with you, the pros and the cons, they're doing you a huge disservice, because we know what it is now, but there's going to be a lot of changes. Like the RMD that you have to take at 72. There's not even a new table out there right now. We're still going off of the old table of what it says a 72-year-old's life expectancy expectancy is. So there's going to be a lot of changes coming down the road. So you want to make sure you're educated and make sure you have an advisor that is up on that continuing education as well.
Something to stay on top of. We want to let you know also to download our free white paper today about the changing story of retirement. Visit slagelfinancial.com/empoweryou. And when we come back on our strategy play, the Chads are going to show you an approach to take advantage of taxes for your retirement. Stay with us.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri and in Illinois. So call now to get set up on that right path on your journey through retirement.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. On this week's strategy play, we're going to show you an approach to take advantage of taxes for your retirement. And with the new Secure Act going into effect of January of this year, really what we talk about, Chad, is taxes are on sale. And as we mentioned earlier, in 2026, unless something changes, taxes are going to go back up. So what we want to talk about today is how to take some of that qualified money, those IRAs, those 401ks that a lot of you have set up in company plans, and how can you move that maybe to you and your spouse in a most tax efficient manner? Or maybe if something were to happen to you and your spouse, how can you leave that to your beneficiaries in a more tax efficient manner as well?
Well, and I think these are two ways that we're talking a lot with our clients that are sitting in a situation where they've done everything right, they've saved, they've built up this bucket over here of what we call qualified money. You know, it may have $500,000, it may have $5 million, but let's say, you know, over a 5 to 6 year period now that we've got some opportunities to do one of two things or maybe even both of these. The first one, looking at a conversion. We talked about converting.
Yeah, so we take a look here. Let's say you have qualified money again, IRAs, 401ks, company plans, money that you have not paid tax on yet. When you draw that money out, it's all taxable income. And you may need some of that to live off of, but maybe not all of it to live off of. And again, we put $500,000 to $1 million. It could be $250,000, it could be $5 million, it doesn't matter. You just want to make sure it's converted, or Chad, we talk about legacy planning as well, to a more tax efficient place for you and your spouse, but as well for your beneficiary. So talk real quick, Chad, about converting, and then we'll go to legacy as well.
So the conversion strategy, obviously getting it from a traditional IRA over to a Roth IRA. So we're moving it from a taxable bucket over here to a bucket that is tax-free, and all the growth is tax-free, and all the income it could provide down the road is tax-free. You can convert $100,000 a year, even more than that, or it could be 50 based on your tax, your income, and kind of consulting with your financial advisor and your CPA determining those numbers.
And then number two, Chad, the legacy.
You know, legacy along the same lines. Over a 5 to 6 year period, how much of this taxable bucket can we get over here in this legacy tax-free bucket, where that now can also have a long-term care protection benefit to you and your family. It can have an income benefit if you need it for that. But most importantly, if something were to happen to you, it's tax-free to your spouse, to your kids, to your loved ones, to get Uncle Sam out of that.
The key is with the Secure Act, there's some gray area that you definitely want to make sure that you and your family are taking advantage of, especially before 2026. Are you worried about the Secure Act having a negative impact on your retirement? Do you need help building a tax strategy that helps benefit you and your family? If so, we encourage you to give us a call today, and that's this week's Strategy Play.
If you have any questions about today's show, or if you'd like for us to discuss a new topic, email us at askchad@slagelfinancial.com to have your questions answered on the show. We will be right back with some of the key takeaways from today.
Chad Slagle and join.
I'll be with you guys in just a few minutes.
When it comes to your health, your life, your family, your home, and your hard-earned dollars, of course you want to make sure you're working with that sharp, energetic, knowledgeable individual that is always looking out for your best interest.
Such short notice, appreciate it. Thanks.
It's time to get your financial house in order. This is the new age of retirement planning.
In the Wall Street world, that's what they talk about. You got to have
Now back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We are Slagle Financial. Call now, 888-294-9248.
Welcome back one more time to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We've covered a lot of ground today. What would you say, Chad, are some of the key takeaways from today?
Understand the keys, the changes that the Secure Act have and how they impact you, either for better or for worse, the pros and the cons of those. Also, determine ways in which you can save on taxes in retirement. Take advantage of the benefits that are out there for you. And number 3, make sure you're working with an advisor, a CPA, and a firm who can help educate you on the Secure Act, and one that's constantly keeping up to date. Because again, as we mentioned earlier, Wendy, a lot of these laws have been passed, but there's still a lot of changes to come. So you want to make sure you have a CPA, an estate planning attorney, as well as a financial advisor that are up to date and are constantly getting educated on these changes and bringing that information to you.
A lot to learn about these new changes. To download our free white paper today about the changing story of retirement, visit slagelfinancial.com/empoweryou. And Slagle Financial and their team of advisors have educational events coming up in your area to make sure you are prepared for today's retirement. For more information and to sign up for one of these events, call 888-294-9248 or visit chadslagleshow.com.
Remember, folks, success is waking up in the morning, whoever you are, wherever you are, no matter how old or young you are, and bounding out of bed because there's something out there that you love to do, that you believe in, that you're good at, and you can hardly wait to get at it again today. At Slagle Financial, realize that this is bigger than our team. It's about educating you, the public, and our wonderful clients, and empowering you to make better decisions with your hard-earned dollars. For my colleague, Chad Tobin, my co-host, Wendy Erickson, this is the coach, Chad Slagle. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to visiting with each and every one of you next week.